Well, for more on these floods, Arise Director of News, Sumner Sambo, joins me now in the studio. Good to see you, Sumner. What's the latest? I mean, this sounds absolutely horrendous, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the latest is that the inland water reservoirs in Nigeria, about 3 of them right now, are actually at their peak. And so we may have more of this flooding within the country. The specific dams are the Kainji Dam, the Shiroro Dam, the Jeba Dam. Now, and
they're all in the northern part of Nigeria?
Yes, in the northern part of the country, specifically in Niger State, and then, of course, one in Kwara State. And these are the reservoirs that help us to store in more water when the Lakdo Dam in northern Cameroon is usually released. And then we've seen excess rainfall in the past few days, and then, of course, with flooded rivers bursting. So it looks like we are heading towards the same scenario we had 10 years ago. That was in 2012. I remember covering one of those flooding in the north central state of Kogi State, where we have one of the swamps that we have around that axis being filled up to capacity, and of course the road had to be cut, divided into 2, and so travelers from the northern part of the country couldn't access the southern part of the country. So we're heading towards there now. That's why the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency is asking Nigerians, alongside the National Emergency Management Agencies, who are very close to those areas that are susceptible, to actually move upland, because this time around the flooding is going to be much.
Yes, and the geographical size of this is quite alarming, isn't it? I mean, they're talking about 3/4 of Nigeria. I mean, but I don't see that much alarm across the country.
Yeah, because most of the states actually take some of these warnings for granted. Sometimes when the predictions come from the NIMET, the Nigeria Meteorological Services Agency, or the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, or from NEMA, the Emergency Management Agency, sometimes it doesn't get to this, it doesn't get high to this level. So some of the states tend to want to just downplay some of those early warning systems. But this time around, we've seen about 300 persons being killed. I mean, hundreds of thousands of persons being displaced. And of course, one of the surprising things is that states that are usually facing drought, like Yobe State and Borno State, are suddenly being faced with flooding. I mean, these are desert states. And so this has to do with climate change. A lot of Nigerian authorities, both at the state and federal level, need to pay more attention to climate change in the country, because if not, then we'll continue to suffer this. I mean, this is just midway. We haven't even really started. But the prediction rolled out by the Emergency Services Agency, and then, of course, the Hydrological Services Agency, which controls the inland reservoirs, it looks like there's going to be more flooding from next week. And if we're already this way, 300 persons are dead, then of course we don't know what may happen.
Well, we're going to watch that very closely. Sumner, thank you very much indeed.